Okay, so we're going to have all the ingredients laid out. We have our veal bones. This is going to be the best one. The marrow in the bones is what we're essentially looking after, and that's what's going to get the taste of the veal stock. You have your carrots, your onion, your garlic, tomato paste, there's some bay leaves, your cutting board, knife, honing rod, oil, and then we'll go over here. We have our pot, sheet pan, ice cube trays, cheesecloth, strainer, and of course our tongs. So, once you have everything together, let's get started. Here we're going to roast our bones. I've already preheated my oven to 450 degrees. So first step, you're going to take your veal bones and place them out on your sheet pan. And once you have them on your sheet pan, you just want to take a little bit of oil and just rub them on the bones. And this oil is going to help caramelize the outside of those bones. And try not to make a huge mess. Alright. Once we have the oil on our bones, we're going to put them in the oven. And set our timer for 45 minutes. And we'll see you in 45 minutes. So after 45 minutes has gone by, we're going to turn the oven off and take the bones out of the oven. You might get a little smoke coming out, so just be careful with the hot pan as well. We're going to take these bones and put them in our pot, and I already put water in my pot. And this smells wonderful. There we go. And if you need to add a little bit more water to cover the bones, do so. Once you have your water in there, I'm going to put the lid back on, and I'm going to turn the stovetop on and get the water going to a boil. As we're waiting for the water to boil in our pot, we're going to go ahead and start chopping our vegetables. So here I have my onion, I have my garlic, my carrots, and then my tomato paste, my bay leaves that we'll use a little bit later. So right now let's tackle our vegetables. I have my chef's knife and my honing rod. Now you always want to have a nice sharp knife. And to do this, you're going to hold your knife in your dominant hand and your honing rod in your non-dominant hand, and then hold the knife at a 20-degree angle and just go down that honing rod. You want to get it on both sides of that knife, that way you get it nice and sharp. Make sure you don't cut yourself. And then when you're done, just put that to the side, and then your knife is nice and sharp. So, we have our onion. I'm going to take the ends off the onion and take about 1/4 inch or so off, and we'll just put that to the side. We're not going to use it. So we have our onion. We're going to cut it in half, put one to the side, and then we're going to start with each half. So I'm going to take my knife and just take 4 or 5 slices down the middle of the onion, and now I'm going to turn it, and then I'm going to do the same. And as you see, we have a diced onion. So once you have your diced onion, I'm just going to put it in a bowl over here and get it to the side. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the other half. So I'm going to make my 4 or 5 slices, and then I'm going to turn it to the side, and then do my diced onions. And then I'm going to take that and put it in that same bowl. And then I'm left with these 2 little pieces, and you just chop it as you need it. that in as well. And you have your chopped onion. We're going to go into our carrots. And with your carrot, you got the little top piece right there. We're just going to slice and put to the side. In your carrot, you want to get into about 1/2 inch slices. And there's our carrot slices. If they're not exactly 1/2 inch, that's not a big deal. Make sure you cut those ends off. And get your vegetables chopped. We got 2 more carrots left. Make sure you throw those ends away. And there you have your carrots and your onions. When we get to our garlic, you want to make sure you peel that garlic. You want to get down all the way into the middle where you have these cloves. These individual pieces. And these we're going to put into the stock as well. The garlic will give it a nice little flavor. Garlic does get a little messy with the outer shell. I'm just going to shove that off and clean that later. So you can put these in whole like this, or a neat little trick, you can just take it and crush it with your knife, like that. And that way you get the good inside of that garlic. And then you'll have a little shell there as well you need to get rid of. And there, we have all our chopped vegetables, and then we're going to wait for our water to boil and we'll be ready to go. So once our water is boiling, I have my vegetables in my bowl. We're going to add them to the water. Make sure you kind of push them nice and down in there. And your pot will be pretty full, but as you reduce it for the 10 hours, the water level will go down. I'm also going to add my few bay leaves. All of this will be strained out at the end. And then I have my tomato paste. Drop that in there. And just kind of give it a nice stir around. The tomato paste will melt in that hot water, so you don't have to stir around and worry about the chunks, because it will do that on its own and dissolve. So make sure everything is in there and covered. Be careful not to spill. I'm going to put my lid back on, bring it back to a boil, and then we're going to put it into the oven. Our pot is back to a boil, and then we're going to put this into the oven. A little bit warm. Grab my oven mitts. Be careful not to spill. Put it in your oven. Reduce your heat to 190 degrees, and we will see you in 10 hours. After 10 hours, our stock has been reducing. We're going to take it out of the oven. Do this very gently because you don't want to spill anything. Your lid's going to come off. Ooh, that smells wonderful. So what I'm going to do, just grab me a little spoon and a little glass bowl. What we want to do is get that fat off from the top layer of that stock, because you definitely don't want that fat to be in your end product. You'll probably yield about a cup or so of this fat, and you'll see it against the edge of the pot, and you know what it'll look like. It's going to be pretty obvious. It's going to be a clear, just a fatty layer of liquid. So once we get that, we're going to put our lid back on and put it back in the oven for another hour and let it keep reducing. We are just about ready for our end product. So after the hour, we're going to take this back out of the oven, and we got to filter it where we just get the liquid. So I got the rest of my things. I have my cheesecloth, I have my ice cube trays, I'll put to the side, and I have my bowl and my filter. Filters are going to rest right there on top of my bowl. I'm going to take my cheesecloth. You just want to put it right in like that. That way you get an extra layer of filter. The finer we strain this, the better your stock is going to be. To make things a little bit easier, we can take the bones out of the stock. That way it makes the pot a little bit lighter and you don't have all this heavy stuff in your strainer. So I'm just going to get most of these bones out of here. And the meat is just falling off. There we go. Let me put that to the side. Now we're ready to strain. My pot is still a little bit hot. So might take a minute for it to strain through that cheesecloth. Sometimes it helps when you just kind of wiggle it. In that same pot, we're going to discard. Grab my extra cheesecloth, and I'm going to dump the rest in here. There's a little bit left in here. Again, we're going to let that strain through. There we go. Now we have just a pure liquid of veal stock. We can let this cool as it is, but one thing that we can do is pour it into ice cube trays. That way we can freeze it, and that way you can just pop out what you need when you go saute your vegetables or make your grits. You just need 1 cube at a time, or 2 cubes, or how much you need. But we can take this and just pour it right into our ice cube tray. And this will yield about two trays. So once we have this, we can just put this in your freezer, let it freeze, then again, you just pop out a cube as you need it. And there's your veal stock. Enjoy!